What is up, and welcome back to your favorite podcast, of course. As always, my name is Johan. I'm your host. And today we're going to talk about a routine and habit that for me is so essential that I will do this every single work day. And I'm religious about it. I have to do this now because whether you have your own business or you just work a busy job or you take a lot of stress home with you, right? I think it's difficult sometimes. It's difficult sometimes to leave work at work. You might feel exhausted once you get home, but you're still kind of wired and tired. You know, your brain just won't shut off at night. You might even be in bed, lying awake, just thinking about work or thinking about that project you're working on, or maybe something else stressful, right? This really goes for anything stress related, but let's focus on that work because a lot of times you might be grinding. Hey, look, we talk about boundaries a lot. We should do like a full boundary-based episode, but a lot of times what I see about my clients, we say yes to too many things. And what this can lead to is just exhaustion, even burnout. And I will say I hit burnout probably once or twice, once for sure, probably twice. I got pretty close a few times. So I've learned to push myself, right? But also now listen to my body's symptoms because you might have seen my post recently on Instagram. I am currently dealing with a little bit of high blood pressure. You know, blood sugars are not really where I want them to be. And my HRV was really low last year. And we've been building that up as me and my coach are working, you know, on sleep and everything else. Sleep is now like a consistent 7.5 hours plus. But, you know, just about a year and a half ago, I was awake at 2 a.m. oftentimes related to stress. I would still go to bed on time, like 10, you know, sometimes maybe 11, but I would be pretty good with my bedtime at 10. I just could not fall asleep no matter what. And I would be awake until 2 at night. Next day, obviously you're going to wake up tired, right? So sleep aside, which once again should be a podcast again by itself because we have talked about it in the past. I just want to bring it back. The leaving work at home piece is so key for myself that I want to share this with you because at the time of this recording, I'm actually recording this on February 19th. It's probably going to be putting up a little bit later, but I recently taught my clients, I want to say 3 or 4 clients in the same week, actually, this exact same framework. A simple ritual that helps me wind down after work, my clients, and just close the day mentally or close the books, as I like to call this, right? So we can actually rest and show up for what matters, which will be your partner, your kids, and of course, be present with friends and everything else that we have to do after work. Because look, we're not just living to work, as much as culture these days is kind of set up that way. We are working so we can live our life, but we cannot burn ourselves out so much that after work we're worth nothing. You just want to go to bed and then we got to do it over again, right? 5 out of 7 days a week. That's a pretty poor lifestyle. So let's leave that work stress at work. And before we even get into this, think about this. Sure, you might have tasks and projects, but is it really conducive to your productivity the next day to overthink about it and stress about it? Nay, it's not really, right? If anything, we're going to wake up more tired and we're going to be less productive, and now that stress builds up. We all juggle work and training and family and life. But sometimes it feels like that day never really ends, or you might even feel like I just don't have enough hours in the day. So I'm going to break down the exact ritual that I use to signal my brain that the work is done, plus how you too can create your own version of this to get better sleep, just be more present. Because for me, like that's one of the main reasons I really want to dial this in so I can be present with my girlfriend. So when I'm done, oftentimes I'll put my phone on airplane mode so that I just know, right, that's that mental trigger of I am done. I can check my social media tomorrow during my lunch break. Right? I don't have to be scrolling. No, I'm going to be present here, right? Now, I'm not perfect, mind you. No one is perfect. Definitely not me either, but I do my best. And that's what I want you to do as well here, okay? So stick around for a small daily action that you can start today. I want you to really start to build this habit. If you do, oftentimes take work with you, and then your spouse has to deal with your crankiness, or your kids get the snappy parent. even though we love the people around us, right? We might still not always show up as the best version of ourselves. So that's what I want you to think about. I want you to show up better, right? And that goes into, sure, doing our best at work, but also how can we be better, after work? Because it's simply unfair for our partner or kids or friends or really anyone else to get a shittier version of us just because we have poor boundaries around work and we take all that stress with us, right? At the end of the day, it's our stress to deal with. It's not someone else's, right? So let's not put it on them, okay? Now, coaching isn't just about macros and workouts, which you might think. And I want to start with that because, look, our clients are sometimes even surprised with how deep we truly go. We don't just talk about food. Look, yes, I still say that I'm a nutrition coach these days. And I should probably change that into health and nutrition or whatever that is, or even lifestyle. But look, I don't love that term lifestyle coach, but it's what it comes down to. We do a lot of mindset work. We do a lot of real talk. Right now, I'm not a therapist, but I'm still a real human being. And I can be there for my people. I can be their shoulder to lean on. A lot of people also can't necessarily afford therapy. So, right, we already do coaching. Okay, cool. Like, let's have a chat about these things as real human beings so we can be there for each other, right? To support each other. And in this case, I'm going to be their rock for that support. Now, mind you, some clients need a bit of push. Sometimes they need a bit of tough love. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be here for you, right? But we do way more than food. We do way more than training. Hey, let's get some steps in. Let's eat some fruits and veggies. Yeah, absolutely. That's key. I mean, last week we talked about meal plans. But we got to address sleep. We got to address stress. We have to set boundaries. We have to learn how to self-develop ourselves, right? Self-development is the foundation of my course, the Odyssey that all my clients go through. And it's what my coaching practice is built upon because it is the key to growing in every aspect of life. It's the key that will allow you to reach whatever the fuck you want to achieve if you put in that work and if you do continuous self-reflection, and then we do a little bit better over time. Most of my coaching calls have nothing to do with food. It really, it's about this stuff. That's why I thought about this episode. I got off the phone with a client and I was, you know what, this is good stuff. I got to share this with podcast listeners because I know you're probably dealing with similar things. My client too, she's like, hey, yo, I can't sleep. I'm not present with my kids. I'm a little snappy. I don't feel good. It's busy season. And look, I believe in seasonality of, because look, let me go back a little. Work-life balance, I don't believe is a real thing to achieve. I think it's going to be more in seasons, right? So, hey, yeah, maybe we have a busy season and then we're going to pull back a little, just so in every professional sport, it's not just go, go, go every single month of the year. No, they have their in-season, but also their post and more recovery type of base season. And then there's the pre-season as we ramp up again. And that's how I want you to think about these things too, right? Whether that's fitness or health. Health has different phases, right? Nutritional periodization. But of course, work too. So work-life balance, in my opinion, and that's just what I think, is more like the big picture instead of day-to-day. It's more like, hey, this is going to be my busy season. I need to be a little bit more, right? I need to push a little harder so I can build these things or learn, or maybe you study for, an exam or something. And then we're going to cool down a bit. We're going to pull back. And then we're going to rest and recover. Everything is in life is seasonal. And that mental and emotional component is just necessary to work. Look, if we're a complete mess, is it even worth it to talk about, hey, eat more fruits? I mean, if someone feels so crappy that, they can't even think about food, or they are so overwhelmed that they can't manage their schedule, look, especially these days too, I'm talking about time blocking. I'm talking about, hey, okay, so map out a day for me. Tell me what that looks like. And then we build those routines and habits around that. That's why, sure, our foundation is still nutrition, but we got to stay on top of that self-development, right? Which is, again, the true foundation. Let's call that the soil, right? Upon that, we build that foundation of nutrition and everything else that comes with it, right? So many different aspects of life. Emotional, community, that's a big one that I think we don't do well with, right? We're not good enough at that in terms of seeing our friends, spending quality time with our family, right? seeing people, doing fun things, laughter. That's so key. Let's get back to the topic. No side quest today. So here's the philosophy behind closing the day. I think it was Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, who said, let us balance life's books each day. And as soon as I read that quote, it just stuck with me, right? And that's when I took my journaling practice from once in the morning to once in the morning, and then also at the end of the day to reflect. So in the morning, I do a journaling session, which usually starts with some type of gratitude, some affirmations, kind of depending on what season I'm in. And then I'll just brain dump. And sometimes that's one sentence. And that's sometimes a full couple pages in one session. It just kind of depends on where I'm at and what I need for the day. Sometimes it's very real, very confronting. And sometimes it's just gratitude, right? And just pointing out the things that are going well in life. But it's more setting the tone. Now, at the end of the day, I want to review. I want to reflect. I want to see, hey, how did I show up today? Did I do the things I said I was going to do? And is there anything I could have done better? Was I truly the best version of myself? Or did I kind of snap at people? Or did not everything get done? Right? These are all great things to ask yourself, but you got to ask the questions. We cannot skip these questions as much as most people just want to kind of be done with work and then, right? Just drop everything. But we never have a off switch for that stress, for the load, the exhaustion, the projects that are still like in your mind by the time you're in bed. So I want you to think about this as closing the cash register at the end of the day. We're done with work. Okay, so we're going to count up. We're going to see where we're at. Okay, boom, everything checks out. We're going to balance life's books, and we're going to move on to the next day. So now I'm going to walk you through the exact ritual that I personally follow at the end of every single workday so that I can just wrap it up, close the cash register, balance life's books, right? In this case, balance work's books, I guess, and then move on. I'm done with work. I can now be present. I know that everything is taken care of and that everything else needs to wait for the next day because there's no point in me sitting here having dinner while I'm thinking about projects. No, that's for tomorrow morning. Cool? Excuse me. So I usually start with slow breathing, 5 minutes. I have my Aura ring. What I'll do is I'll just go into that app. There's a little bit of, ambient sounds. I'll put that timer on 5 minutes. I'm just going to do some slow breathing with my eyes closed. You could do box breathing. There's a few different methods. I really don't care. But this is the number one step that I usually recommend my clients to do as well, because you can do this anywhere. I've been doing it on the bus these days even, right? After my workout. So I do it 3 times a day, by the way. The breathing, that's 3 times a day. I do it in the morning. I do it usually right after my workout or on the bus back. And then I'll do it at the end of my workday. Why? I just want to kick back and rest and digest into parasympathetic, right? But I also want to kind of slow down and close my eyes and have no inputs for a little while. So what I'm going to do is put that timer on 5 minutes. I'm just going to let my thoughts do whatever, right? But I'm going to focus on my breathing. Slow. I like box breathing. That's my start. So this is the trigger of, hey, I'm now starting my end of day routine or ritual. Then I'm going to quickly go into my calendar and I'm just going to check, hey, do I have any calls tomorrow? Whether it's with new clients or existing clients, kind of catching up with them. What tasks do I have to do? Oh, actually, yeah, I got to record this podcast tomorrow. I need to make sure things are prepped, right? I need to send tasks to my team. I need to, get on calls with them, do huddles, all that good stuff. But I just want to look at my calendar and think, okay, cool. So what needs to get done? What does my day look like tomorrow? And I'm going to review my task list as well, right? Which is all tracked in different projects and all that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my number 3 or my top 3 most important tasks that have to get done the next day. Below that, I'll still write down 5 smaller tasks that should also get done. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't get done the next day, but I'd like to, okay? When I then know my 3 most important tasks, I'm going to go into my calendar. Hey, where do I want to do this, that? Right? I have my deep work block in the morning. I just want to be focused and present there as well. No distractions. So that's when my phone goes away, right? I use a focus app called Focus Friend, which is kind of fun. It really works, by the way. You could even get a Brick. That's a good one to look into, right? The long story short is I'm going to look back at, hey, what got done today? What needs to be moved into tomorrow, right? If there was any smaller tasks that I didn't get done, I'm either going to ask my assistant to take care of it, or I'm going to have to do it myself the next day. And then, of course, there's 3 priority tasks. Now, why do I do this? I want to wake up my workday knowing what to do, just how I will always tell you, plan your meals ahead of time, create your meal plan ahead of time. Yes, with flexibility within structure, but I want you to think of this. When you wake up Monday morning, do you even know what you're eating for breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. for most days? If that's a no, let's start planning. And I'm not saying it has to be the exact same stuff every single day, like we talked about last week, but I do really, really think that you will benefit off of planning and just sitting down on a Sunday and thinking, okay, this is what my week looks like. Because as much as right now I'm showing you my end of day ritual, I have a end of week ritual. I do a end of month review, an end of quarter review, and end of year review. And that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. Yes, it takes some time, like the bigger those, timelines are, or those seasons, right? Where it's a micro season or like a full year. But at the end of the day, it's necessary because it's going to allow me to execute better. So now back to the end of day ritual. Why do I do this? I want to wake up with clarity. I want to know what to do. And you could do the same thing. It might not even have to do anything with work, but I would just start thinking of like, what are the things I need to get done? Oh, tomorrow's meal prep day. Okay, cool. So, do I have everything that I need to get? If not, okay, like I got to do some shopping. I'm going to do some prepping. Oh yeah, by the way, I got to do my laundry too. Or just get clear on a few things, right? I like the 3 most important tasks and the 5, below that. I actually learned this from Jordan Syatt and Mike Vacanti. I did their mentorship program, I think in 2021 or 22. And they kind of taught us how to kind of, do these tasks. They actually had one more. So there was basically the way they teach it is 1 number 1 task, then 3 important ones, and then 5 little ones. I kind of just cut the top one because a lot of times I have like 3 things like that are equally important. I will put them in order, but I'm just going to hit those 3 and then 5. But hey, that's just me playing around with what I found to work and what's also doable within a workday. Okay. But now I know that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I can start executing. There's no guessing. I sit down right after my morning routine and I just get going. And I know what that first time block is going to be. I know when I'm going to have to do my team huddles on Zoom, right? Etc. Then I have, a bigger block, again, a bit of a focus block. I catch up with my clients. There's other projects, podcasts, recording content, writing new guides, right? Which, by the way, I think, by the time this launches, you're going to see our new guides. Keep an eye on my social medias anyway. But I want you to pay attention and look out for the gut repair blueprint. That's going to be a huge, huge one for you. Very fun. I'll definitely do a podcast on this too. But once I've done this, so just a quick recap before we continue. I've done my slow breathing. I've checked my calendar, checked my tasks. I wrote down my tasks for the next day. What I'm now going to do is just pull up my journal again. And I'm going to briefly look at my morning journaling, which I like to do. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that because it reminds you real quick. Because look, we forget everything, right? That's also why I tell my clients, like, don't track your food at the end of the day after not even logging during the day. Now, you're going to do it beforehand or in the moment, right? You will forget. Just how you might still forget like what you've actually journaled like that same morning of that day. So I do a quick just read through, right? Oh yeah, that was a good reminder. And hey, this actually could be a really good post or a topic for a podcast, right? Because look, like I'm also very, very heavy into that self-development for a reason, right? We all have our things to work on. And I've just seen so much growth personally, and I'm still growing and still trying to be better, right? That like, this is something that's so life-changing, game-changing. Like I want you to really start opening up your eyes to journaling and meditations and breath work and even things like grounding and, slowing down more stillness in life. We all need this. Self-reflection is so key, right? That is where you will truly grow. Excuse me, once again. I feel like I caught a cold a couple days ago. Now, that being said, I'm going to review my morning journaling, but I'm also going to write down some new stuff. Now, what I will do is what my clients always do on a weekly basis when my client check-ins. I'm going to write down one daily win, just one positive thing. And it doesn't have to be a big, special, life-changing thing. It could just be something small. Hey, this went well. Then I'm also going to look at what can I improve? What can I still do better? What's something that I missed? Hey, actually, I said I was going to do this. I was going to do, right? I was going to make this call. I'm going to do some meal prep. Like, did I actually do these things? And if not, why not? I'm going to rate my efforts, scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. It's up to you. And then I'm going to give myself a moment of, hey, a rating, but also describing why I give myself that rating. If it's a 3 out of 5, okay, why is that? Why was my effort lower? Or was it high? Okay, amazing. I'm still going to explain that to myself to then also realize, hey, my effort was really on point today. Why was that? Okay, so it's because of this. I know that I had my 8 hours of sleep. I know it was because of this. My meals were taken care of. I follow my time blocks. Okay, now I need to make sure that I keep doing the things that will make me execute at a high level, right? Now, look, you can fill these things out however you want, but I'm just giving you some ideas here today, okay? Each step really matters though, right? And that is why I've set this up the way I have. It's the slowing down at the beginning with breathing. It's the reviewing calendar and task-wise and planning for the next day so that I wake up with clarity. Then I'm going to sit down again with that journal. I'm just going to write a little bit, right? Talk to myself on paper. Don't use your phone for this, by the way. Grab an actual physical journal, a pen. And I got to thank my second mentor ever, Cody McBroom, for this. He really, really got me into this. He kind of pushed me to open up my eyes, I guess, to new things like meditations, like journaling, like affirmations, like gratitude journaling. I got to thank him for that, because that's really one of the more life-changing things I've been practicing for many, many years now, just about 5+ years. So every step has its purpose. Now, look, if you want to start building out your end of day ritual, you could even just start with the breathing. Keep it simple. When you leave work, before you start your car, just sit there. No phone, no distractions, no sounds, unless it's like an ambient thing, like a focus playlist even, or meditation music. You're just going to sit there for 5 minutes, slow breathing. And then you can start that car and go home. You can give yourself those 5 minutes. And hey, if it's 10 minutes, even better. If you take the bus home, perfect. Do it then. Look, even if you're biking or walking home, you could still do it. You're obviously going to keep your eyes open, but you can still do slow breathing. Pay attention to your breathing. Give yourself a little bit of time to sit with your own thoughts, or walk with your own thoughts, or whatever that may look like for you. To officially give yourself that signal to train your brain, hey, it's work. I'm going to go through these steps so that now over time, this will become my trigger of, okay, I'm done for the day. I can now be present and I can focus on what's truly important for me. That is being with my spouse or partner, my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that is for you. My kids, right? You're going to see some friends. You're going to be more present there. This is so important, right? And even if you still have other things to do, you are better equipped and less distracted while doing those things. So when you're done working today, I don't want you to rush right away into that next thing. Sure, maybe you have to go somewhere, but look, even if you have to leave work and rush to pick up the kids, to drive them to soccer practice, do the slow breathing in the car. Turn off the music, no podcast, no audiobooks, with that damn phone away, and just breathe until you pick them up. I want you to take at least 5 minutes of stillness. I really don't care what you do. You could meditate, you could walk, whatever that is. Just 5 minutes to start off with, where you give yourself that signal of, I'm done with work, I'm going to slow down a bit. Because that's going to send that powerful signal to hopefully trigger that nervous system of, hey, okay, we're going to slow down, we're good, right? And like with everything, this all comes down to repetition. You might do this today and not notice anything. You might even do it for a full week. But remember that habits are built over longer periods of time. The average based on research says just about 66 days, but it's really a range anywhere from 18 to 258. So how long that's going to take, I really don't know. I don't care. I couldn't care less. It's about how often do you do these things within a given time frame. So just focus on that. Just daily action. Make yourself a little checklist. Just make that the goal for the rest of this week. I mean, it's Monday today. Make that the goal for this week. Starting today, you're going to finish work and take 5 minutes for yourself. You're going to grab a pen and paper and you're going to write down end of day ritual, Monday, check. You're going to do it again tomorrow. And then over time, you build this habit. And then hopefully you will start to be a little bit more present after work. You will be able to fall asleep a little bit better. And you are going to wake up with more clarity because you've done a little bit of planning. If you go through those steps that I just wrote down, right, or mapped out for you. And hopefully you are now going to be truly managing your stress, truly putting your body back into that rest and digest after a crazy work day, so that you can be present. And let's be honest, just live better, because look, we're all busy. We deal with a lot of stress, and as much as we can remove certain stressors, kind of depending on, right, how much freedom we have in terms of our schedules and, right, obviously you do have a lot on your plate. You can still at least do things that will put you back in that rest and digest, that will allow you to truly be in control of your stress and nervous system, okay? Now, if you want to get a little bit of help building routines like these, or just managing stress in general, as you know, you can always message me on Instagram. Like, I am not the coach who will get a DM on Instagram and immediately try to sell you or something, you know? I see a lot of that. Look, I get messages every single day on Instagram of people who are trying to sell me stuff. I think it's annoying too. So that's not me, right? I'm your friend. I'm your support. I want you to reach out if you do need extra help. This is literally something I coach people through every single day, every single week, every single month of the year. So if you are exhausted but wired and you need that nervous system to kind of slow down, and maybe you do try this end of day ritual, but you need more help with your food, or you want to learn more about supplementation or mindset or self-development. Look, I've read so many books on this stuff. Even if you want to get a quick book recommendation, hit me up. Let's leave work at work so you can be present. And I will talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening. And of course, as I will always ask you, it's your payment for listening to this free episode. Quick review. Takes 2 seconds to fill out. It's going to allow us to reach more people. It's going to allow you to put it forward and help us help more people get healthy. Like, it's the best shit in the world, right? So quick rating on Spotify or Apple. If you don't mind, thanks in advance. I'll see you soon.